Good evening. Oh, fun things. Fun things were going on, if you can detect the genuineness in my voice. Yeah, so I meant to get on with this whole series about, probably 10 plus hours ago. Thing after another happened during the day, and you know what? And then when I finally get down to sit and do this whole thing again, I have to go tree shopping. For a Christmas tree because, it's just about that time of year. And then I don't get back to this until about 10 minutes ago. And I'm finally. Anyway, so this is what, part 5? Hold up. I have to actually look at my YouTube app to find out if this is part 5 or not. It probably is, but hold up. I'm literally looking on my YouTube right now. First I need to. Okay, no, not that account. I have about 8 billion different accounts for different things in YouTube. There we are. Okay. Involved Idahoan right there. Let's see. Yes, I enjoy King of the Hill videos occasionally. And what is it? Part 4 last time? Yep. Okay, so it's part 5. Let's go. All right. So I think we started off with 2025 dash. Yeah, we stopped at 2025-18. So 2025-19. Are we there? Looks like we're there. Just transition, and here we go. 2025 just in case anybody is clueless at this point, I'm reviewing the resolutions packet for the 2025 winter meeting of the Idaho Republican Party. Okay, now that everybody knows. 2025-19 state statutes regarding initiatives. Okay, right, being submitted by Howard Renderson, Payette County, passed by Payette County, to be presented by that dude. All right, cool. Whereas the state of Idaho provides for an initiative per Article 3, Section 1 of the Idaho State Constitution, and whereas the U.S. Constitution guarantees a Republican form of government, and whereas the initiative is a form of direct democracy. Oh, they're using some interesting quote marks there. Okay. Whereas, because the initiative bypasses the legislature and goes directly to a ballot, and whereas, well, you didn't finish a complete thought there. I'm scared of where you're going now. Whereas an initiative bypasses legislation hearings and debate required for a proposed bill to be fully scrutinized for transparency. Well, this is true. Okay. Whereas the initiative in Idaho requires signatures gathered in only 18 of the 35 legislative districts. I know exactly what the reply is to that, but yeah, it is a frighteningly low bar for citizen initiatives, and especially the kind of citizen initiatives where they're not really citizen or initiatives; they're just big money pushes from out of state organizations being, masquerading as Idahoan, like Reclaim Idaho and such. Can you see? Can you tell I'm not really all that bitter about it? Anyway, whereas the number of signatures needed to gather to. I'm going to start that over again. Whereas the number of signatures needed to place an initiative on the ballot is equal to 6% of the number of registered voters of the state's last general election. Just 6%, huh? Whereas with signatures in just over half of the districts, it is only reasonable that the threshold be increased. Okay. I'm now less scared of where this is going. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Idaho Republican Party supports an Idaho State's constitutional amendment to read the collection of signatures shall be gathered from at least 23 of 35 legislative districts. Okay. I want to know where this 23 comes from, but I have a feeling that'll be ironed out in the presentation. Be it further resolved that the Idaho Republican Party supports Idaho State constitutional amendment requiring the numbers already talked about. Okay, cool. Let's see what this was. 2025-19. 2025-19. First in video. And hard agree too many outside interests masquerading. I'm pretty sure I'm spelling that wrong. Masquerading as Idahoan plebiscite. Oh, I'm going to use a fancy word, plebiscite. Plebiscites. Too many outside interest. Such a low bar. Oh, bar. Okay. So my full response to this is hard agree. Too many outside interests masquerading as Idahoan plebiscites to have such a low bar. All right, now I'm going to move on before I get angry about it. 2025-20. Okay, so 2025-20. Let's see, what are we at on the video now? About 725 on the video. 725. Oh, the computer just did something weird. Okay, 2025-20, prohibiting DEI at public colleges and universities. Okay, cool. And I find this extremely interesting since it's starting to already happen at Boise State. Okay. I want to see where this is. Let's see. By the Region 4, Region 5 committee. I mean, let's see. I'm always going to screw up Region 4 and 5 now, because Region 4, you know, Ada County was always Region 4, and now it's Region 5 because of the whole shakeup and whatnot. To be presented by Brian Allman. Oh, cool. I actually really legit do want to see this one. Okay. Who knows how all this is going to be considered in committee, but I do want to see this one. It says, starting off with, the public colleges and universities exist to serve the needs of all students as well as the greater community. He's not wrong. Curricula and programs devoted to ideas such as the university, blah, 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 seek to divide students and the greater community by emphasize racial, ethnic, gender, and other differences. Not wrong there. He's actually kind of underselling it, too. DEI programs are used to mold student activists who propagate continued Marxist assault on Western civilization. Not wrong. Whereas the Idaho legislature has repeatedly attempted to fund and prohibit anti-American ideologies such as DEI in public colleges and universities only for administrators to continue such programs under new names and line items. And see, and the current conversation about the recent happening in Boise State is, well, they just made another center or something. Didn't call it DEI. They called it something else. But they're allegedly they're doing a lot of the same things. So that seems really apt. Whereas jury found that administrators at Boise State were liable for forcing big coffee. Oh, that's right. Yeah. This is they're on. In fact, they're underselling it as far as what actually happened. So yeah, okay. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Idaho Republican Party condemns anti-American ideologies such as DEI, and be it further resolved the Idaho Republican Party condemns any program or ideology that seeks to divide American people based on race, sex, or any other innate characteristic. Okay. We've said these kinds of things before, but okay. Be it further resolved, the Idaho Republican Party calls on the state legislature to introduce and adopt legislation to funding and prohibiting DEI programs and yada yada. You're preaching to the choir here. Be it further resolved, the Idaho Republican Party urges the state legislature to craft such legislation in a way and with mechanisms for enforcement to ensure this ideology is removed from public colleges and universities. Okay. Be it further resolved, the Idaho Republican calls on the governor to sign such legislation. Okay. Hard agree, and you're underselling it. Agree, and you're underselling it. How's the other? Oh, that's right. I want to see the presentation on this. Okay, so yeah, that's the end of it, right? All right, what's the next one? We've still got quite a handful to go through. The next one is 2025-21. 21, and where are we in the video? 11:37. Got it. And what even is this? I don't look at the title usually before I have to go back in anyway. Resolution to restore the Idaho State presidential primary in what are they up to? It might be good. It might be good. So okay, it's submitted by Dan Schonenberg out of Latah County. Interesting. Passed by Latah County, of course. Whereas the state of Idaho has historically held a primary to determine the Republican nominee for the President of the United States, and whereas the Idaho legislature in 26 passed Senate Bill Who Cares, which moved the presidential primary from loud for Gorder. Well, I'm not sure if that's exactly those words right there actually went down entirely like that, but okay, we'll move on. Whereas the 2023 Idaho legislature unintentionally eliminate this word right here, while probably technically correct, is definitely misrepresenting the situation. Unintentionally. More like you're being a complete idiot with what you were doing. Whereas in 2023, the Idaho legislature unintentionally eliminated the presidential primary election by passing House Bill 138. Wait, okay, I'm gonna read ahead on this. I don't think they mentioned that they didn't bring in the preeminently largest stakeholder on the subject of the bill that they were debating. And didn't until they said, oh yeah, we're doing a trailer bill, and it's going to be up a week from now. Oh, wait, no, it's actually right now. And then wondered why the state chair was so pissed off and why she was acting that way. So this is misrepresenting how the presidential primary got eliminated in the first place. They didn't bring in the largest stakeholder. And you know what? When I'm always, spending some time at the, when the legislature's in the state house, when the legislature's in session, I'm always hearing about, in these subcommittees, the, if somebody, when somebody is, introducing a bill, when, it's getting printed and it's getting debated, did they talk to the stakeholder, primary stakeholder on this subject or that subject? Did you talk about, this, potato bill? Are you talking about, talking to all the potato farmers, and what do the onion farmers have to say? Or let's say it's something about, the semiconductor business. Did you bring in people like Micron? Did you bring in the stakeholder? Why weren't those questions asked with House Bill 138? Why? I want to know that question before anybody messes with the whole situation any further. I'm going to continue. Whereas in 2023, the Idaho legislature was unable to restore the to the state That is also completely misrepresenting the situation. The fact that that a trailer bill was even needed at all is an extremely damning thing for the people who are pushing this in the first place in the legislature. Yes, I'm talking to you, Phil McGrain. Whereas the presidential primary offers a more inclusive and accessible. I do not stipulate to this at all, but okay. Presidential primary offers a more inclusive and accessible process. Well, I don't know. For Idaho voters, allowing them to participate directly in the selection of presidential nominees, regardless of their ability to attend a specific caucus location or other time-based requirements. This argument falls flat when you realize that the same people who were whinging about this were also directly messing with and trying to hinder the caucus. You don't get to bring up the money. You don't get to bring up the money argument when you are messing with people who are trying to do it with their own money, anyways. So screw you. So screw this. Whereas a presidential primary system aligns with the values in representative democracy, allowing by every eligible voter to have an equal opportunity to cast their vote and have their voice heard in the process of selecting nominees. Why are we saying all voters instead of Republican voters? Whereas the move to restore the presidential primary will be a reflection of Idaho's commitment to ensuring that every Republican... I don't stipulate to this at all. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Idaho Republican Party calls on the Idaho State Legislature to pass legislation to restore the presidential primary. Whereas the Republican Party will closely with the Idaho Legislature work closely with the Idaho Legislature? That kind of thing won't happen when they're pulling crap like they did last with the 2023 legislative session. If they're not going to be calling in quite literally the biggest, by far, stakeholder in this situation, if they weren't going to be doing that then, do you think a resolution is going to be doing that now? And is that even really your actual goal here? And other stakeholders to advocate for the timely restoration. Okay, you know what? I just don't believe. I'm having a hard time believing this. Further resolve that the Idaho State Republican Party restores of. Okay, you know what? Everything about the wording in this makes me extremely suspicious of what is actually the end goal here. Hey, I'm neither agree or disagree. Just very suspicious. If stakeholders, hold on, I need to look up a word. Let's see. Yeah, I'm still recording, and there's also another reason why I'm not pausing right now, because apparently pausing desyncs the audio like really bad. I found that out. with the last series. Okay, found the supreme above all and in particular. Okay, let's see, permanently largest stakeholder. Wasn't. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that I read this exactly correct in the way that I wrote it down here in my notes before continuing. Everything about the wording in this makes me extremely suspicious of what is actually the end goal here. I'm neither agree or disagree, just very suspicious. If the preeminently largest stakeholder wasn't brought in when this crap went down the last time, how am I to believe that the largest stakeholder on this won't be honestly and forthrightly be brought in next time? And I want that question answered before anybody even talks about me possibly supporting this. I'm suspicious of everyone now. Okay, so next one. So the next resolution is 2025-22. Where are we in the video now? 2209. All right, and what is the next one? Enshrining the right to life in the state constitution. Ooh, it's a bit of a subject change. Okay, resolution enshrining blah blah blah. Submitted by Colton Bennett, Latah County. Okay. Whereas the Idaho Republican Party believes that the right to life begins at the moment of conception and that preborn children ought to receive recognition of personhood and equal protection under the laws of our state. You probably could have split that up into two whereas clauses, but I get what you're doing here. It's all right by me. Whereas radical leftists has used ballot initiatives, judicial activism, and derelict state legislators to create a right to abortion in 17 states, including the enshrining these creepy people, these evil people, they really want to kill children. Anyway, whereas these radical leftists have announced plans to place an initiative on the Idaho ballot in 2026 legalizing abortion. In Idaho, of all places. Okay. Whereas the state of Nebraska defeated such an attempt in 2024, in part due to the placement of a dueling measure on the ballot defending the right of. I'm now extremely interested in where you're going with this. Okay. Whereas the state of Tennessee, Louisiana, have enshrined in their constitutions. Okay. Okay, I like where you're going. Whereas states who have implemented such constitutional provisions have robust success in protecting preborn children. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to stipulate to that. I want to believe you, so I'm going to continue. Whereas courts in these states have ruled in favor of the right to life, such as Alabama Supreme Court, which ruled, we believe that each human being from the moment of conception is made in the image of God, created by him to reflect his likeness. Okay. Oh, we're just going into the results stuff now. Okay, okay, you've made your point. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Idaho Republican Party calls upon the Idaho State Legislature to pass during the 2025 legislative session the following amendment to the Idaho State Constitution. Ooh. All right. So you're lining up the timing just exactly there, though. To defend and protect preborn children, We, the people of the state of Idaho, declare that this Constitution does not recognize, grant, or secure a right to abortion or require the public funding of abortion. Well, I thought you were going a slightly different direction, but I'll accept this. This is okay. Oh, and that's the end of it. Okay. So my reaction is hard agree. It is evil that so many children are killed for essentially for convenience. This is one of the most Republican and most Idahoan resolutions I have ever read. I hope that carries some weight. But all right, just to reiterate before moving on, my complete reaction to when did I start this video again? Fourth video. Okay. Anyway, my complete reaction to 2025-22 is hard agree. It is evil that so many children are killed essentially for convenience. This is one of the most Republican and most Idahoan resolutions I have ever read. Okay. Okay, so the next resolution is 2025-23. 2025-23. Where are we in the video? 2716. 2716. All right, and what is this resolution? Resolution to limit property tax increases and protect homeowners in Idaho. Okay. I'm okay by it. Let's see. David Shepard, Latah County 3rd Vice Chair, Latah County Republican, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the scroll wheel is just murder now. All right, so whereas Idaho residents have experienced rising property rents, creating financial strain for homeowners, renters, and small businesses across the state. Well, yeah, putting it kind of mildly. Whereas Idaho's property tax system lacks a consistent cap on the rate of increase for allowing for local governments to... Okay. And that's all you're saying there. That's all you're building here. Okay, you're going to stand tall on a short foundation here. Be it resolved that the Idaho Republican Party supports the establishment of a property tax limit initiative that will curb property taxes and establish a property cap and create... Okay. Be it further resolved that this initiative will promote fiscal responsibility, encourage local governments to blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm just going to say passive agree. Since I believe I have a feeling there's going to be more to this in the presentation of it. So I'll say passive agree and move on. There's not a dang thing wrong with this resolution right here that I can see. So we'll move on to the next one. Resolution 2025-24. So 2025-5-24. And where are we in the video? 2918. 2918. And what is 2025-24? Resolution supporting a change to district-based city council elections for Idaho cities. Okay. Where are you going with this? Submitted by the same dude as the last one out in Latah County, whereas the Idaho GOP has committed to providing fair and equitable representation for all residents of Idaho, whereas cities with large and diverse population can benefit from district-based... Okay. Whereas at-large election systems can sometimes result in underrepresentation of certain neighborhoods or groups, leading to governance that does not fully reflect the diverse perspectives of a city. This is true. Although where was this out of again? Latah County? This sounds like a thing that somebody from a much more populous place would be writing about, but okay, well let's continue. Whereas requiring district-based election for cities with populations greater than would align. Okay. Whereas, well, therefore be it resolved that the Idaho Republican Party supports a change in state law that requires cities with populations greater than. Oh, he wants to move the number down. Oh, let me guess. He's kind of worried about Moscow, with some of the same sins as Boise. Okay, well, I'm willing to listen. It sounds okay, unless there's something I'm not catching. It feels like there's something I'm not catching, but this sounds good. Be it further resolved that the proposed legislation would mandate cities with. Okay. They're just writing it out more, as almost as if they've used a chat GPT to. You've used chat GPT on this, haven't you? I should say disagree on those grounds, but given what you're trying to do, I'll ignore that. I think you used ChatGPT for this, and I'm not enthused. Be it further resolved that the Idaho Republican Party will work with legislators and local officials to develop and advocate for that democratic process. See, be wary of somebody who uses that coded language right there. Okay, well, passive agree, but I want to hear more. Why the more about why the number. So what was it? 25 is important. Okay, so my complete reaction to this is passive agree, but I want to hear more about why the number 25,000 is important. And we're gonna move on to 2025-25. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier, but there is also another hard 45-minute limit on this video too. But we might be okay. So we're gonna go to 2025-25. 2025-25, and the timer on the video is 33:11. Wait, 30. My keyboard is not cooperating. Still recording and everything, right? I just pressed a bunch of digits in OBS. I need to know if that does anything. Okay, it doesn't actually do anything. All right, Take Back Idaho Lands is what this one is called. Submitted by LD23 Republicans. Oh, okay, so they're somewhat local to me, or at least a lot more local than a lot of these places. To be presented by Walt Holton of Owyhee County. Okay. Whereas the Legislative District 23 believes that each state is a sovereign land, and Idaho Constitution do a citation better than that. Doing things in all caps doesn't do what you think it does. But given that you're going in a positive direction here, I'm going to let it slide. All men are men by nature, created free and equal, and have certain inalienable rights. Are divine. Okay, I like it so far. Whereas the benefits of this land belong to the people of Idaho for their enjoyment and for the pursuit of their happiness and liberty. Based. Okay. Whereas the federal government has abused its power by claiming land within the borders of Idaho that should belong to the citizens of Idaho. And it gets into a quote here. Nearly 1/4 for multiple uses. And it has a footnote or citation there. Okay. Whereas the federal government continues to claim rights as the government do not have, as stated by your esteemed Attorney General Raul Labrador. I'm sure. Okay. Some of these large blocks of text, I'm just not reading all of. I mean, come on. Whereas it is in the best interest of Idaho and to people who reclaim their land and its benefits. Therefore, be it resolved that the citizens of the Legislative District 23 extend their deepest gratitude to the Attorney General for his admirable efforts. And therefore, be it resolved that ask the Attorney General to review the court filing. Furthermore, be it resolved that the ask so it might be appropriate. Okay. Agree, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I mean, I agree with this kind of thing, but having large blocks of text where you're just sort of making my eyes water, makes me less enthused about it. But okay, yeah, it's cool that it. Okay, so next one is 2025-26. 5-26. And where are we at in the video? 3620. Oh, well, let's just call that 3630. Uh, 2025-26. Resolution recognizing Idaho election success. Okay. Michael Colson out in Region 10. Okay. Whereas one of the most important rights to Americans is the right to vote. Okay. Well, the mission of the Republican Party is to turn out the most Republicans in a general elections. Well, that's one of the things that the party is supposed to be doing. That's correct. Whereas the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution states that the right of the citizens to vote shall not be denied. Well, that's one of the things that the 19th says, and it is very consequential. Whereas we believe that this includes the right to have your vote counted and not diluted or manipulated by non-citizens vote or voting. Okay, the grammar in here is wrong. I get what you're saying though, so I'll try to let it pass. Whereas we believe there should be in-person same-day voting, early voting, and excuse only absentee ballots with paper ballot. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna disagree with you there. We believe that it is important not to legitimize or support any practice that would diminish or disenfranchise voting citizens of Idaho. You're correct there, but you're making me a little afraid here. Whereas the 2024 general election set a new record for the most voters. Okay. Whereas Idaho's elections were efficiently, safely, and securely run by Secretary of State and county clerks. Okay. Governor and Secretary have successfully signed and executed the First Nation on Executive Only Citizens Vote Act. Okay. Whereas the Secretary of State and Idaho's clerks implemented 12 principles in Idaho to further commitment. Okay. What are we building towards here? Whereas the Idaho legislature passed critical legislation to implement stronger laws forbidding. Okay. Whereas the Idaho legislature passed legislation to prohibit ranked choice voting and prohibit any voting machines to be connected to the internet. Okay. Whereas Idaho set a record for most votes ever. Okay, cool. All right, so now we've finally got to the resolve. I'm trying to not be impatient with this, but now therefore be it resolved that the Idaho Republican Party believes in Idaho's elections, which produced an overwhelming victory for President Donald J. Trump. Yeah. And Senator J.D. Vance are a model for the nation, especially. Okay. This sounds like way too much of a run-on sentence, but I'm trying to let it go. For an our model for especially our fellow Western states. Okay, I don't disagree. Be it resolved that the Idaho Republican Party strongly supports the continual improvements made in Idaho elections to make it easy to vote but hard to cheat, and supports the hard work of. Oh. Strike those 3 words, and I'll be okay with this. So I'm just going to copy paste some stuff here real quick and try to remove the formatting so that it doesn't look weird in my notes. Okay, just so that I cover this before I move on. My official response to 2025-26 is strike the words Phil McGrain and at the end, and I'll be a hard agree. Because you know what Phil also did. Moving on. 2025-27, 25-27. 7. Where are we at in the video? 4110. All right, let's get going with this. I'm coming up on a break. 2025-27 resolution against an Article 5 convention. Oh. Okay, this is gonna piss off some friends of mine. Okay. Submitted by Ronald Linsman. Okay, cool. She's all right. Canyon County Republican Central Committee to be presented by Ronald Linsman. Okay, cool. Whereas U.S. Constitution has stood for over 230 years, it's a foundational document for American liberty, limiting federal power, protecting individual rights, and preserving state sovereignty. Okay. Whereas efforts led by groups such as COS people, supported by progressive organizations, effectively Soros groups. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to say it, but it's not that you're wrong. Anyway, I'm just going to continue. Whereas in 2023, California lawmakers under Gavin Newsom approved for a call for a constitutional convention to propose a 28th Amendment for sweeping gun control measures. Okay, see, that points out exactly why. Screw it. Okay, so there is an extreme danger with an Article 5 convention as it's currently laid out and on top of the historical context here. See, the thing is that the COS people like to say that we've never had a constitutional convention before under Article 5. And that's only technically correct that we've never had it under Article 5. We've absolutely had a convention of states before. We got an entirely new government out of it back in the 1790s, I think it was. And certain rights were absolutely left out until the last moment, which means we had a very real possibility of certain God-given rights not being recognized by the new Constitution. And they were quite literally an afterthought. They were an amendment afterwards. They call the Bill of Rights the first 10 amendments because they were amendments. They were things that were put on the end, which has actually created some bit of a problem because of how the amendments work in a document such as the United States Constitution. So opening things up in a convention of states for amending a constitution, opening that up at all puts a lot of very, very sacred and dearly held things at risk. And I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack for saying that from friends, but whatever. Whereas the Article 5 process allows Congress rather than the state legislatures to control the rules and procedures of the convention. This answers a question I've been asking the COS people for quite a long time, and they never had an answer for me. And given how they're writing this, I now know why. Because parliamentarian me is asking the question, okay, well, it's not going to be Robert's Rules that a convention would be operating under. Well, that means there's some other volume of rules. I would very much like to know the volume of rules to that this all operates under, so that if it ever does happen, we would at least know and be properly prepared. Nobody ever gave me an answer as far as what rules we're actually going to be using. I mean, imagine showing up to a football game and actually they're going to use rugby rules. It's a completely different thing, and you are therefore not prepared. It's like that. So, no. I want to hear the presenter expound upon the, what was that? 1, 2, 3, fourth whereas clause. Fourth whereas clause, as this is the closest I've ever seen anyone in the COS debate answer questions I've had about the procedure of the whole thing. Okay, now I'm probably going to be expanding upon this later, but I want to hear the presenter expound upon the fourth whereas clause, as this is the closest I've ever seen anyone in the COS debate answer questions I've had about procedure of the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to continue now. Whereas the delegates to a constitutional convention would face pressures of modern political agendas, may propose amendments that conflict with the original intent of the U.S. Constitution, potentially eroding. They're saying it a different way. The thing I just said 2 minutes ago about this. Okay. Whereas the Founding Fathers risked everything to create a government that would protect individual liberties and limit federal power, and modern delegates may lack the same commitment to these. Ooh. She's calling you lesser than, dudes. Okay. Whereas the groups advocating for a constitutional convention have acknowledged the potential for abuse, and efforts to rewrite the Constitution could lead to unintended consequences that weaken protections. Okay, yeah, we are on the same page here. Oh, whoa, okay, I scrolled way too far there. Whereas some groups have misled, suggesting that they would be limited on. No, it would not be. Okay, including the liberal wolf pack are pushing broader changes. Okay. Whereas if members of Congress and state leaders today are unwilling to fully adhere to the existing U.S. Constitution, including the Bill of Rights, we have no reason to believe that they would respect a newly mutated Constitution that may further empower a bloated federal government while limiting personal freedom. Okay. Yeah. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Idaho Republican Party strongly opposes the calling of a constitutional convention, recognizing that it poses a serious risk to the integrity of the U.S. Constitution and the rights of Americans. Okay. Be it further resolved that the Idaho Republican Party reaffirms its commitment to preserving the United States Constitution as originally written, upholding the principles of limited government, individual freedoms, and state sovereignty. Be it further resolved that the Idaho Republican Party will continue to educate the public and elected officials about the dangers of an Article 5 constitutional convention, and advocate for the preservation of the Constitution and its protection of all citizens. Hard agree. Okay, so my full response to that is, I want to hear the presenter expound upon the fourth whereas clause, as this is the closest I've ever seen anyone in the COS debate answer questions I've had about the procedure of the whole thing. Hard agree. COS is bad news. Okay, so, what's the... Oh, it's got sources on this one too? Okay. Well, what's the next, okay, we're at 2025-28. 2025-28. All right, where are we at in the video? Oh, we're at 50 minutes. Oh, but we're almost done now. So what time? Where's my phone? Hey Siri. Oh, there you are. Okay, never mind. That won't show up on camera, but it's just a 11:15, so... All right. I'm stopping at midnight, though. So this is Resolution 2025-28, and we are at 50:49 in the video. Okay, so 50:49. All right, what is this resolution? 2025-28. Resolution to tighten and enforce Idaho's residency requirements for voters by Chris Chaco, Canyon Chair. They won against us in the toy drive. Canyon County passed this, and oh, there's a big fat whereas clause right to start off. Okay, whereas Idaho's residency requirement for voting is clearly stated in that code citation, to wit, residents for... Okay, cool. Whereas the Idaho Code Section 107 clearly states a qualified elector is... Okay, they're quoting the same law again. Okay, cool. Whereas multiple Idaho candidates have exploited the use of homeowners exemptions, Idaho Code Section 33602G, to claim such exemptions, which are clearly not for their permanent places of vote, as well as exploiting additional loopholes in that other bit of the law. Okay. Went straight to therefore. So that means he's pissed about something. I wonder what. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Canyon County Republican Central Committee urges the Idaho State Legislature to pass meaningful reform of that code section to close loopholes allowing non-primary residents to receive yada yada, urges our Idaho State Legislature to clean up all that, provides for correction to voter rules, qualifies and disqualifies any candidate for, urges the Idaho GOP to support the aforementioned resolutions. Okay. So, I like it. I agree. In fact, I'm going to write that down. I like it. I agree. I'm severely demotivated that such a thing would ever really pass in the legislature. And I think most of my viewers and listeners already know why. And that is because those people in that big marble building, that big building downtown that has a House, has a Senate, has a governor and a lieutenant governor in it, a good portion of those people have used these very loopholes and are extremely aware that they are relying upon a loophole such as that to remain in office. Wait, is my camera moving? Is it moving? No, okay, it's not moving. But yeah, so a lot of those people in that big building are relying on this loophole, which means that they are not going to get rid of it. I mean, that's just the ugly truth of the matter, is that they're very likely not going to get rid of it. Yeah, okay, so how am I going to put that in the notes? I like it, I agree, I am severely demotivated that this Idaho legislature would ever go for this, given that some of them use such loopholes. Okay, so my complete response to 2025-28 is, I like it. I agree. I'm severely demotivated that the Idaho legislature would ever go for this, given that some of them use such loopholes. All right, let's see what else is okay. So the next one is 2025-29, 2020. 2025-2029. Where are we at in the video? 5510. 510. Keyboard misbehaving. All right, so 2025-29 resolution to define and denounce Marxism. Okay, so far you got me on board. Submitted by Lucas Kaler, Precinct Committeeman 2311 out in Canyon County. Okay. Whereas Marxism is understood to be an ideology that, when deployed, leads to an altered society. It aims to transform society through transforming humans into a secular version of a cohesive-based society on the elimination of social class and wealth disparity as an inherently atheistic ideological construct. Okay, I don't disagree. Whereas Marxism is a philosophical blah blah by Marx and Engels in the 19th century, captured in such works as the Communist Manifesto. Whereas Marxism has been the blueprint for all communist and socialist regimes worldwide and is used to eliminate social class and wealth disparity, however, has resulted in radicalized youth, weaponized military, the loss of individual freedom, famine, human rights violations, and genocide. Ex-Marxist. Yeah, that's putting it lightly, too, Lucas. Whereas Marxism has found its way into most institutions in the United States and directly influences policy and blah, 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 blah. I don't disagree there. Whereas many anarchist groups in America, such as Black Lives... Anarchist is what the word you're using there, okay. Such as BLM, Antifa, have roots in the doctrine of Marxism, destroy billions of dollars of private and commercial property. Over several years of upheaval, I have received wide support from George Soros-funded organizations and the Democrat National Party. Not wrong. Whereas the LGBTQ movement is a liberal outgrowth of the sexual revolution of the 60s and seeks the destruction of the natural family and encourages the moral normalization. Okay. Whereas critical theory, Frankfurt School of Western... Okay, this is a lot of supporting text. It's not wrong. It's just a lot. Okay, concept of open primary election. Oh, they're even going there. Have received broad support from groups such as the National Communist and Democrat parties. The latter will have attempted to push these initiatives in conservative states and attempt to flip the balance of power so the liberal ideology gains political control of those states. Okay. Whereas, therefore be it resolved that the Idaho Republican Party denounces all aspects of the doctrine of Marxism, cultural Marxism, critical theory, diversity, equity, and inclusion ideologies as it pertains to law and policy, the natural family, education and higher education, healthcare, elections, and the workforce. Therefore be it further resolved that the Idaho Republican Party adds to its party platform. This has a distinct legal meaning that you probably didn't intend here. The platform can only be adopted or amended at a convention. The next convention is in 2026. I'll just say agree and try not to get stuck on that point. I'll just say agree and move on. And it's got some sources because... Not actually, that's just a source, but why do you have to cite sources on a bunch of preeminently correct text, though? Anyway, what's the next... Oh, we're at the end. Oh, hallelujah, we're at the end. We're at the end. Okay. So, I'm going to transition to just the webcam. If you've watched all of this, thank you. I want to know why, though. So please either email me or put something in the comments. The comments are just what right down there, I think, still. And the email is on the title card that's at the beginning and end of most of my videos, which does include this one. Yeah, I do want to know why if you watch this whole thing. So there's a lot of good, there's some bad, there's a few that made me kind of angry. I don't see all of these getting heard or given proper time. However, to be quite honest with you, there are some of these that absolutely do not deserve time before the resolutions the subcommittee. They absolutely don't deserve it. And there are also, on top of that, some other resolutions that I'm getting the distinct feeling that the authors and the originating committees are not taking into consideration that there's only a limited amount of time, and you are definitely not respecting that time if you're putting forth superfluous things. I mean, the glamping one is the most serious and egregious examples of this. You're just simply not respecting the time of others when you put forth stuff like that. There are also other examples, but rather than single anyone out, I'm just going to leave people to their own devices, to formulate their own opinions on a lot of this anyway. Now that I've done all of this, I'm going to put this into a nice playlist. I'm going to do all the clicky-clacky YouTube things. I'll do all the social posting for it. I know I posted a little bit about this stuff last night as I was literally passing out on this bed over here. But I posted a screenshot or something while the fourth one was uploading, I think. But no, like the actual posting of all the links of all these videos is now actually going to be done. We're at 11:25 p.m. here. We're about, we just crossed the hour threshold on the video. So, I am going to call it, so I'm going to put it to an end here. This is adjourned. I'm going to do packets like this again next year, in the next meeting, in 6 months or so. Anything that comes up in the meantime, of course, I'll be doing stuff. But y'all have a good night. Blessings.